Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. There are lots of business coaches out there, but there aren't a lot of business coaches that truly focus on family businesses. It comes with a whole different set of challenges, insight that's needed. You're dealing with personalities. You're dealing with a lot when you're dealing with your family in a business, especially. And I found somebody that helps a lot of business owners and families through that. And he's with us today, Dave Shields, our professional of the year. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Doing pretty good this morning, Steve. How about yourself?
Real good, real good. And
Yes.
last time we got together, we talked about something called the Harmony Model, which is something that you offer to at least enhance your coaching when it comes to working with families. I love the name Harmony because when you say family, that's what you want, especially
Yes.
when it's a family business. Can we reset that and pick up where we left off?
Yeah, well, let me just talk a little bit. The three steps in the Harmony model include discovery, attunement, and congruence. And really, it's from the 30,000-foot perspective. Discovery is really taking the time to interview a new family member from the business, getting a sense of who they are, having them take the Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram, and the Clifton Strengths Finders, so that we can begin to really uncover some of the hidden gems, right? And underlying the model is really the belief that we're all born perfect into this world. But then life happens to us, right? As soon as we come out of the womb, there's the programming really starts, and then we out of needs for acceptance and love and belonging, we adapt to be able to fit into the world, in contrast to being just completely who we are. So we're born perfect, and then we start the process of adaptation, and that can be really don't get me wrong, adaptation is fantastic. Folks build great survival skills. Folks build great skill sets, and put on different masks. But in the process, we often lose parts of ourselves that are essential. So in the discovery phase, we start to really recover some of that.
I love the fact that you view call it what could be limiting beliefs. You know, it seems that's what we're talking about here, because I agree with you. When a baby is born, doesn't matter what its background is, what color it is, doesn't matter.
Yes.
We're all the same. We can't talk. We can't understand. We understand very basic things as a baby. And then life goes on, but life can change. And because of your environment, and we don't mean that in a negative way, kind of charts the course for how you react in the future to certain things, even from 0 to 7 as a kid. I've often heard, and I'd love your thoughts on it, that like 0 to 7 is the imprint for everything in the future.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, I got a psychology background. I spent 36 years in the mental health field, and then added coaching about 19 years ago. So
wow.
Piaget and Kohlberg and some of the original influencers on the psychology and developmental model of development, it makes clear that up to age 7 or so is a huge, as you said, imprinting, right? It's a kind of a programming or a conditioning to get folks going in life. Yes.
And you mentioned the strength assessment tests. I don't want to repeat myself, but did I tell you I took the Clifton Strengths?
Yes.
And it's spot on. 30 minutes of your time sitting in bed, just clicking some answers that come at you, kind of rapid fire, but that's the whole idea. It reveals a lot. It is, and I'm glad you're part of those tests, because is that basically your baseline, the beginning, the starting point once you get those assessments?
Their assessments are, and sometimes folks don't really care to take assessments, but they can really, if you ever heard the Johari, or some folks call it the Johari window, where we have elements of ourself that we know, elements that we don't know, other elements that other people know about us that we don't know, things like that. And so assessments like this can really be, sometimes in the discovery step, of the model, there's epiphany oftentimes for folks they'll get test scores back and say, "Oh, really? Wow, I didn't really know that about myself."
Yeah.
And so even just the first step in the harmony model can be powerful for folks.
Or it confirms things you suspected. And that happened for me with the strength assessment test. I did the Clifton strengths.
Sure.
Yeah, but powerful stuff. I mean, all your tools are fantastic. You know what you employ, Dave.
Well, yeah, and you had some really awesome top leadership talents. So that, if I remember right, Relator was up there in your top five. I think maybe even Harmony was up there too. Was that did I remember that right?
The test with 34 strengths, number one was communication. So, okay,
Gotcha.
accurate. That's
Gotcha.
what I do. The surprise for me, or not surprise, depending on how you look at it, is empath was number two.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Yes.
And
Yes.
it, I know that I take on things from other people and I worry about people and hadn't taken care of myself. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm the one that says to everybody else, hey, you realize you're an empath, but it's me. And
Yes.
for what
Yes.
it did for me was seeing that as number two was more of a reason to just kind of buckle down and realize where I'm putting my energies out there. But then close to the bottom, so least strength, if you will,
Mhm.
was competition. So I look at that,
Oh,
I'm like,
yes.
oh,
Yes.
what does that mean? I'm like, I'm not competitive. I'm not fiercely. I'm a team player, if you will. I
Do
call it
you,
that.
do you think that makes you unique amongst radio stars?
I don't know. I
Would you see other radio personalities being more competitive and less empathetic, or more aligned, like with what you have?
I would believe the empathy portion has in my career is what has fueled me.
Yes.
And all the time, doing morning radio, we would deal with certain topics, some of them lighthearted, some of them a little serious, not too deep, but I feel I could relate to people, and get what's going on with them. The competitive thing, I'm not really sure if that's bad, that it's not
Sure. Sure.
a
Yes.
top strength, but I will say I'd rather work with a group than work independently. I'll do both, yeah, but it's more fun with a group. So maybe that's
Uh,
why the competitive thing was lower. I don't know.
yeah.
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 Well, how about you in those strength assessments? What was say one, two, and three for you?
Oh, empathy was up in my top five. Also,
Wow.
futuristic, I think is what it's called, or there's one that talks about being futuristic. I really like to peek around the corner into the future, and I'm fairly good at guessing what's coming down the road.
Hmm.
So futuristic. I'm a learner. A learner is one of my top five, and I think it's harmony or relator that's also up there. So yeah.
Interesting. And well, yep, very interesting that it says harmony in your
Yes.
top five and you offer the harmony model within your coaching. Hmm.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So that's the discovery phase of the model. Attunement's kind of a playground, right? The second step in the harmony model is really where you get to come out and play. You begin to look then at some of the results from the discovery phase, and we begin to implement things. I remember one lady that I worked with in a family business. She had a tremendous faith and loved her faith, and felt sometimes at work she'd like to be more expressive in that way.
Hmm.
And so she first of all, she found out that a colleague in the office with her also was a strong faith person. So they began to eat
Wow.
from week to week. They would trade, bringing in Bible quotes or inspirational quotes and taping them up on all the monitors in the front office.
Hmm.
And so that, but she was a little bit scared about doing that, right? She wanted to maybe keep that light under a blanket, so to speak. But she began to play then with some parts of herself that she felt like she had hidden away previously. And so she started to do that and had great success with it. It kind of caught on, and other folks in the business really began to notice.
What are you finding is some of the bigger challenges when you work with families?
Mm. The dynamics is kind of interesting because I love family dynamics. I've been immersed in it through my mental health career for a long decades, and so I'm fascinated by the dynamics, and they're the most challenging at times too. I started the discovery, not I started with a new family about a month ago. And the process of getting to the decision maker, because really to get hired in the position that I'm in, I got to get to the person that can make that decision, right? Well, I have talked with, let me think here, one, two, three, four family members on my way to try to get to the decision maker, the business owner himself. And so I'm working around stories of each of the family members that I
Ah,
have talked to, trying to find a way or the right communication path to get to the decision maker, the father who owns this business, and get his attention in such a way that he really starts to see clearly that there's issues in the family and then within the business that need to be taken
hmm.
care of. Does that
What
make
an
sense?
oh, totally. What an interesting way of getting there, because by the time you get there, you've learned so much by talking to the family members.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and my discovery process then goes a little bit longer sometimes. So usually, when I used to do just life coaching, I did one like 30, 40-minute discovery session, and then they would make a decision about moving forward or not.
Right.
I've now invested about 3 to 4 hours of time, more like 4 hours of time in this family that I just referenced. And it's just what it takes, right? Because of my investment in working with family businesses, the dynamics are interesting, they're complex, and sometimes we got to weave a path to get to the right person to make the decision to move forward.
I don't mean this in a negative way, but scale of 1 to 10, 10 being yes, a lot. How many family businesses are struggling with challenges, whatever? And I'm not talking about financial or just financial, but personalities. You have entitlement situations, people
Hmm.
not working like they should, and all that. If you were to look at all the businesses that you've heard of, you're connected
Hmm.
to, whether you work with them or not, 10 being every business, every family business has some challenges. Where would you put that?
I'd say around the seven.
Mm,
I have been blessed to be a part of my own family business, both back in Indiana and now here in Florida. And so, in addition to that, I have had great experiences with other family businesses throughout my life that functioned like a well-oiled machine. But I would say that's about 30% of family
uh,
business. My best guess is about 70% have some kind of family dynamic issue going on, some power struggle, somebody feeling like there's a favoritism, somebody feeling like they're not fairly compensated for their role, confusion about what roles really are, what job they don't have any job descriptions, and kind of move with a kind of a laissez-faire attitude, at least early in the business. So
mm.
70%, yeah.
I I get it. And I do marketing as well. And all the family businesses that I'm connected to have issues, and
Hmm.
even the ones that don't. I know a friend of mine he's in business with his brother. He's away right now. His brother is away right now. He told me when I get back, things are going to change. I am
Hmm.
because he feels like his brother has taken over and kind of like pushing him to the side, even though they're partners in the business, but he's
Yeah.
had it. And I'm thinking, how's that going to go? Yeah,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't know
Feel free to give them my virtual business card, right?
for sure. I don't see how that's going to go smoothly. And I really feel, and they're both great people,
Yeah.
but I really feel the one that I'm closer to by a little bit, he's given up control to his brother, maybe out of convenience. Yeah, maybe he was lazy or whatever, and now his brother is, kind of done that. Yeah, I don't know how somebody would navigate that without help from somebody like you. Even call it a mediator if you want to. It's,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
You're reading my mind, Steve. That's exactly the term that I had in my head. And I'm working now with two brothers in Colorado,
wow,
similar kind of issues as to what you're saying. And they actually sought me out as a mediator and wanted me in that role so that they could
wow.
both be heard and come to some agreements, particularly around exit strategies and succession issues. But yeah, it's really difficult. I know I had one moment with one of those brothers this week where I asked him a process question and he goes, "What do feelings have to do with this?" And I had a
Wow.
I had a big belly laugh, and I have a big belly to laugh with. Uh, but I said, this is really the primary piece that needs the work. We need to get down into the process, be able to share those feelings with courage with each other, and have me mediate the process so that not just do you get to a solution, but you get to reconciliation. You get to a point of healing, and I've experienced that with family members before, where it's just incredibly powerful for them. And then sometimes business issues or business concerns kind of take care of themselves.
I want you to share more stories, but they're popping in my head left and right as we're talking. I work
Gotcha.
with another company. They created another company.
Mhm.
We're bringing them lots of leads and it's all good. However, a member of the family is answering the phone for this company and not doing
Uh,
the best
yeah,
job.
yeah,
And it's because the skills aren't there. It's not that they're
yeah,
malicious.
yeah.
They own it. That when I say own it, they're they're taking it very personally, but so very dicey. Like, how do you've already empowered this person, um, very close and very an in-law, if you will. So,
Sure,
so
sure.
now you have challenges here, and it's tough to navigate it. Tell us another story of somebody you've worked with and how things got turned around.
Well, let me just play off your story a little bit. I think that if I were coming into that situation, I
Sure.
would sit with that person that's on the phones, and also then make it clear to not just to her, but to the other members of the family business that role is the face of the business, right? She is the first contact oftentimes for
Yes.
somebody as they're calling in to be able to have a first connection. And so I would talk with her about how she really feels about how she's doing in that role. Does she have motivation and excitement to be in that role for the business? And then, if that's the case, and she doesn't really have the skill set, can we get her the kind of leadership training that she needs in order for her to become better at that role? If the family wants her in that role, if she wants herself in that role.
100,000%. And it comes down to skills. The want
Yeah.
to do it is totally there, but it's even, and we monitor the phone calls. So let's say it's a plumbing company. It's not, but let's just say it is. The phone gets answered with plumbing,
Yeah, yeah.
good morning,
Yes.
plumbing. And
Yes.
and they're not even giving the business name. It's just plumbing. So
Sure. Sure.
instead of,
And then if I were to do my three assessments, right, the Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram, and the Clifton Strengths Finder, what I don't want somebody to do is driving into weaknesses and trying to make a weakness a strength. I want folks to live out of their strengths. I want them to be their fully authentic selves. And
yes.
so I would wonder if this person on the front lines here with this business is just trying to operate in an area that's simply not a strength. And it's okay. You don't have to be strong in every area. We all have our strengths and our unique in our own ways. And so she might be better suited with her talents, her temperament, to be able to be in a different role in the business.
And it's not a nastiness. There is
Oh,
empathy when the
oh
phone
yeah,
is answered, but also sales skills are missing. For example, somebody calls up and says, "Hi, are you located on Main Street?" And even though the business is, I'm not exaggerating, like 2 blocks off of Main Street, and there are other similar businesses, instead of saying, "No, we're not on Main Street, but we're just 2 blocks off. And we have the best prices too." No, it's like, "No, we're on Jones Street."
yeah. Fall flat.
Yeah, wah
Another
wah.
another another customer lost.
And such an opportunity. And maybe that person calling was alluding to, are you close to Main Street?
Yes.
Um, and it's money's lost here because it costs
Yes.
money to get leads. So,
Well, and I automatically wonder about things like, the temperament, right? Is she introverted? Is she socially shy? Does she not have really par excellence in communication skills and the ability to improvise in the moment, to be creative and say something like you just said, Steve, in terms of, oh yeah, we're not on Main Street, but we are just 2 blocks away. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I didn't even think of these, Dave, until we started talking,
Hmm.
but they're popping in my head, these situations. And those skills, for the most part, I believe are teachable, but you also have now the family dynamics, because now you
Yes.
have to tell this person who may think that, everything is great and, things are wonderful and I'm doing a great job and I'm keeping track of everything, but there's some things are missing. Who's going to tell them?
Yeah,
How
that's
do you
right.
tell
That's
them?
right. Well, in honesty within families, sometimes is a really difficult thing to have. We love them, and because we love them, sometimes we let them off the hook, and we just don't say an honest observation or statement that could help somebody. Maybe it hurts a little bit, right? Maybe it bruises the ego a little bit, but it helps somebody learn on the growing edge of that kind of feedback. Yes.
1,000,000,000%. So how does somebody engage you if they've identified that we've got some things going on here with the family? How does it how does it start with you, and what's the beginning process?
Well, folks will usually call, or they'll go to my website and leave a form submission, fill out a form, and have that sent. I'll get that in my direct email inbox. Sometimes folks will call us. The number is 317-721-7478. You can leave a message. I'll get back with you within 24 hours during the business week. And we start the process in a gentle way. I do a free beginning session. I call it a discovery session. And in that session, I'll spend some time getting to know you as a prospective client, and trying to get a sense of if I feel like I can be helpful to you. And
Mm.
sometimes that's not the case. I often will refer to other specialists in the business arena that have much better skills in certain areas than I do. But when it comes to relational dynamics in family business, that's what I'm looking for in a place where I can be helpful. But they're also really trying to get to know me in that free session, right? They're trying to get a sense of, can this guy be trusted? This is family stuff, kind of family business, family secrets sometimes. Can we really
Sure.
trust this
Yes.
guy? And so the free session is really so that we can each feel each other out, interview each other in the process, make sure it's a good fit both directions.
You bring up a great point, because there is trust there. You are peeling layers back and peeking behind the curtain about how this business operates. Uh, and there's got to be some degree of confidentiality there. But
Absolutely.
I believe with your empathy level, your psychological background, uh, so much, and having had a family business for many, many years,
Yes.
you bring so much to this table in helping families move their businesses forward. What's your website? How do we find you again?
It is inspire-coaching.us. Yes.
Free consult to start.
Free consult to begin the process, which, depending on the family size, how many members are in the business, sometimes that discovery session gets spread out over a couple, 2 or 3 sessions, not just the first one. But yeah.
Gotcha. So well worth it if you're having challenges with your family, and yeah, you can't pick your family. So
That's right.
pick a
Well,
good
and
coach.
we'll have to come back to this yet again. I still didn't get through the whole harmony model, right?
Oh, wow.
But we're close. We're close. But I love the storytelling. Some of the stories that you've shared today. A couple of the examples that I put out there as well. But
Yeah,
it's been fun
sure.
talking to you, Steve.
You too. And it just further illustrates that people need help. Dave, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcasts on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.